The Red Sox are back playing games against Northeastern today, while Enmanuel Valdez and Yoshida are impressing in spring training.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I want to welcome you back into Locked On Red Sox podcast, and thank you so much for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. I'm your host, Jake Ignaszewski, and here, as always, with my co-host, NESN's Lauren Willand. And Red Sox baseball is back. And now they're playing games. They're not just doing spring training. They're not just playing catch, doing BP, doing, fielding practice. They're actually playing an actual game. Now, it is against a college. It's against Northeastern University, but it's still nice to see sort of a lineup card be announced. We're seeing, people on Red Sox Twitter live tweeting the different things that are happening in the game. But it's nice just to be able to have that feeling like baseball and the Red Sox are finally back to playing games.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see on the TV today, just the Red Sox just being out there. It's nice to get your first look at some of the newcomers, the people who are probably going to be in Worcester and Portland, and even, the Verdugos and the Kike Hernandezes of the lineup. It's nice to see the familiar faces and everyone. And especially, it is really cold today. And just seeing the nice warm weather on TV, I'm like, okay, I'm in Florida right now with watching the Red Sox. And I feel bad for Northeastern. They had flight issues. They couldn't get in until, some of them didn't get in until 4:45 a.m. and we're at the ballpark before 11. So very long day for them. I'm sure they're tired, but I love this tradition because it just must be so fun for those college kids going up against the Red Sox, and maybe they'll get a few strikeouts and they'll get to always have that on their resume that they struck out Alex Verdugo. They struck out Jarren Duran, which that's just a fun experience all around for them.
Right. And, that's something that I saw, a few people mentioned on Twitter, but, if I put myself in, that pitcher's shoes or hitter's shoes, being able to go against those types of guys that you watch on TV. And for some of these guys who grew up in New England, emulated some of these players growing up, what an incredible moment that you get to, add to your resume or add to your memories. But, one thing that TC also said, starting the game, it's record temps in Florida.
Yes.
He sort of joked, people in New England who's watching this definitely don't want to hear this, but it was also nice to hear Lou Merloni get his first kick at color broadcasting for the Red Sox. Has given some good analysis thus far from what I watched throughout the game today. But it was nice to be able to also see, like you said, some of the new faces that we got to see. Our first taste of Yoshida. 4-0 as well. But I was also curious sort of how Alex Cora structured the lineup. Obviously, we can't overanalyze this game. They're playing against a university. It's not like they're playing actual grapefruit league games, or this is the opening day lineup. But I was curious to see Yoshida in the 4 spot, Kike in the 3 spot, and also to see Duran leading off.
Yeah, and I think that we've seen Jarren Duran lead off before while he was with the Red Sox last year. And with the whole leadoff thing and Alex Cora not really committing to Yoshida anymore, not committing to a leadoff hitter. So for the 162 games, it's nice to kind of see him tweak the lineup, yeah, but to put Yoshida where he thinks he will be most comfortable and to try to get the most out of this lineup. Like you said, yes, it's, these spring training games do not count, but these are the times where you really have to tweak your lineup and to figure out who goes where. This is where it's trial and error. So maybe Yoshida does really, really well in that 4th spot. And maybe it's just a terrible experiment and they will end up having him hit leadoff. So this is where, kind of the fun begins of lineup construction and to see who fits where, because Jarren Duran, I think, for the leadoff hitter was pretty obvious. And then Devers' second was also pretty obvious. And then the rest is just kind of plug and play.
No, yeah, I completely agree. And, we'll continue to analyze sort of the lineups that are put out. Obviously, we won't fully know what sort of Alex Cora will do for opening day or just for regular season games. But that's what we love to do during these spring training games. Overanalyze, get excited. But, one player that, really started to continuously is in the headlines and fans are really excited to see what he's able to do in his sort of second part of his rookie year is Triston Casas. And one thing that was spoken about after his major league debut is, being brought up once again over this last week or so is how some of his pregame routines of, sunbathing and napping sort of rub some of the veterans the wrong way.
Yeah, if you're bothered by someone who naps and somebody who does earthing or they sunbathe before the game and you're bothered by someone's pregame routine, that says more about you than it does Triston Casas. So obviously this report that came out, they're unnamed players, but it's just, and I know baseball is so gatekeepy and it's just like, I hate calling it an old man sport because I don't really think that's what I mean, but it's just, people are set in their ways and that's fine. But everyone has different pre-game routines. We've talked about how some players just play cards with each other. Some do whatever they have to do to get ready for the game. And it's just like, he's not bothering anybody by going out there. Is it quote unquote weird? Is it out of the norm? Yes. But is it bothering anyone? No. Is it disrupting anyone else's pre-game routine? Not that I can see and not that I know of. It's just so bizarre what people find issue with. But good for Casas for, saying I'm going to make changes because I don't want to cause a rift. And he shouldn't have to do that. But I think he obviously doesn't want to clash anymore with the team. And it's just like, this is what's going to cause issues. Somebody who got called up in September, who played 27 games, that's what you're going to get mad at. It's just so bizarre.
I completely agree. And, I'd rather have Casas come up to the majors, be himself, and continue to do his pregame routines rather than what we saw Jarren Duran sort of do, which was sort of not be himself, try and conform to the normalcy of being a professional Major League Baseball player. And I think especially when you're a young player, being able to continue those routines that you had through the minors to be able to help you have that normalcy and transition to the majors as smooth as possible is what you would want. And I would love to understand what the normal sort of pregame routines are. Obviously, it's BP. Obviously, it's putting your uniform on. But every guy has their sort of game rituals that are different from others.
Yes, that's the thing. Everyone has something different. And especially, I think, as the players get younger, too, they're going to be not what these veteran players are used to seeing. And people are... they do different things to help calm their nerves, to get in the right mindset. And if that's Triston Casas laying out in the sun, I don't know anyone who's in a worse mindset when they're out in the sun, like on their own and just taking in that vitamin D, being outside, and then doing it at Fenway Park. That's got to be the most relaxing thing ever, especially that night at the outfield with all that sun. But, and I know that, and then I know in the report it says a veteran pitcher. And I know Chris Cotillo said it wasn't Rich Hill, but it just sounds like something Rich Hill would get mad at. Like, old man yells at cloud. And he had that big issue with the bigger bases and the other, like, the rules changing. So this just screams like old man yells at cloud. Whether it's him or not, it screams old man yells at cloud because it's something different. It's something that people haven't seen. Adam Ottavino would do the earthing thing, and I don't know what to extent, but it doesn't really seem, at least to our knowledge, that people had any problem with that. But Triston Casas can do whatever he wants pregame. If he's hitting 30 bombs or whatever this season, let him do whatever he wants. And now he's saying he's going to take it kind of out of the public view. And it's just a shame because it's what he's done. No one in the minors had an issue with it. Right. And it's just the silliest thing to get mad over and to make your annoyances heard. Like, it's not bothering anyone. That's the thing. He's right. As far as I know, he's not in the way and he's not hurting the team. It just bonkers to me.
That's the only thing in my mind that I would see somebody getting upset about is if it bothered them or he was in the way when they were trying to do BP or fielding practice, and it was sort of a liability to where guys couldn't do their regular routines because Casas was on the field doing his own thing. But this is one thing that I feel like we're gonna hopefully not continue to hear, but
I hope
we
not.
Might, because with the new school against old school, you hear it all the time with sort of not only analytics and the new way of baseball, but also this is one thing that I feel like, especially veteran players specifically the Red Sox, young guys are going to be coming up and down throughout the next few years. That's just sort of how this plan that Chaim Bloom has is going to probably play out. You're going to continuously see guys not only during the beginning of the season, also throughout September, maybe the middle of the season as well. But this is one thing that guys are going to have to get used to, is conforming to somebody's new routines and being able to mold together and ultimately have the ultimate, obviously, mindset of just winning. And I don't think Casas doing either of these things gets in the way of these guys being able to win ball games.
No, it doesn't seem that way. And if it does, then fine, he has to make a change. But until I'm shown that it's not doing anything, that he should just be able to do whatever he wants. And like you said, it's it's a lot of new guys or young guys are going to be coming up, not just this year, but the year after. The teams aren't getting, well, the Red Sox got a little bit older, but the teams aren't getting any older. And the routines are going to be different. No one's going to have the same kind of pregame routine. And no one's sitting there getting mad at someone else for, playing cards or taking a nap in the sleep room in the clubhouse. It's just what people do to get in that mindset to win. And that's the ultimate goal, is to win. And the Red Sox didn't do a whole lot of winning last year. And if that's what they want to do, I think the least of their worry should be what someone's doing pregame, unless they're like slamming beers or doing hard drugs before the game, then maybe there should be a concern there. But if someone's just, I love a nap. I'm a big pro nap person. I absolutely love naps. So and sometimes it puts me in a better mood. Sometimes it puts me in a what year is it kind of mood. But it's just something so, I think, minuscule that it shouldn't have come out. It shouldn't have come to this. It shouldn't be this like big thing where he had to kind of, now he's doing it out of public view. It's silly. Like let him do what he wants. Everyone else does what they want. And as long as he's showing up, being a good teammate, that's what truly matters in the clubhouse.
I agree. I think that's all that truly matters. And I'm curious to see sort of if more of these storylines come up from other players outside of Casas, but he's just continued to sort of speak the same exact sort of response to this. I'm just going to be who I am. My personality is always going to be authentically and unapologetically myself. And that's something that's all you can really ask for, especially somebody like him who's still younger in the league and still trying to get comfortable as a Major League Baseball player. And so I'm very curious to see how he continues to show that sort of personality of who he is outside of, obviously with his nails. We saw the mustache earlier this offseason, but I'm just excited to see more of Triston Casas and what he's able to bring, not only on the field, but also off the field, and how he's able to influence some of the guys in the clubhouse to ultimately be able to help add wins to the Red Sox win total at the end of the day in 2023. But we're going to continue to speak about some other players who are really impressing a lot of the coaches in the Red Sox spring training so far. But before we do that, Lauren just wants to take a second to talk to you about Built Bar.
So if you're looking for something that it's a delicious treat, but you don't want all of those calories, then you have got to try a Built Bar. The holidays are long gone now. They are behind us. The Valentine's Day candy is probably gone now after it went on sale. Easter candy is out. There's always that temptation. But if you're like me and you want to eat healthier, make the gym maybe more of a priority, then Built Bar is the right thing for you. I'm telling you, you have to try it. It's healthy, it's tasty, and they do this because it's covered in 100% real chocolate. All the bars, all the puffs, 100% real chocolate. And there are a ton of flavors. There's churro, there's brownie, there's coconut almond, there's my personal favorite, cookie dough. I don't know how Built does it, but every flavor I've had, it tastes like a legitimate candy bar. And there's only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and 17 grams of protein. So it's very, very lifestyle friendly. And we've for years have talked about going to built.com, using that promo code to get your Built Bars. But now you do not have to wait. You can go right to Walmart, head on over to the pharmacy section to pick up a 4-bar box of Built Bars. Or if Sam's Club is closer to you, they have the 13-bar box. Whether it's Walmart, Sam's Club, Built.com, just do yourself a favor and get yourself some Built Bars.
Masataka Yoshida is one player that each Red Sox fan, media member is going to have their eyes on, not only during spring training, but also throughout the season, to see how he's able to acclimate to MLB pitching, if he's the same player that has been advertised, if his performance is able to connect to the amount of money that the Red Sox spent on him during this season. But time and time again, it seems like that we continuously are seeing reports that Yoshida is impressing not only the coaches, but some of the players with how he's been able to, acclimate to the clubhouse, work hard, and also being able to show more from what Red Sox hitting coach said, raw power. And that came out just a few days ago, that we all knew that he had bat-to-bat skills that were incredible and compared to, guys like Juan Soto. But the one thing that was very questionable was how will his power really acclimate to the major league level. And according to Pete Fotz, the hitting coach of the Red Sox, he said that he has a lot more juice than he expected.
Yeah, and that's good to hear when you're talking or you're hearing from the hitting coach. And yes, this is, you're hitting off your own pitchers. You're not really getting the full MLB experience, but a solid first impression and something that's impressing coaches like this so soon is definitely encouraging, especially when it comes to Yoshida, because there's so many questions around him with not necessarily his offense, but most, his defense, yes, but how will he acclimate to MLB? And if it's starting off pretty strong already, that is a good sign. And he's in the lineup today for the Red Sox. So I'm excited to see just how he comes into his own kind of MLB player. We know he's good in Japan. And Alex Cora has told us to just throw away those scouting reports and just, don't even listen to them and just see what he can do. So I'm really excited. I want to see this power, this juice that he has. And hopefully that can translate without any issue. And he can build off that and be more productive in MLB than he was in Japan. I think everyone would be happy with that.
And that's one thing that I just want to see him in live game action against major league pitching. Obviously, we got to see him a little bit today against Northeastern pitchers when 0 for 2 flew out 2 separate times. One of them was a sac fly, but he seemed to get, good bat off those balls. He seemed to work the count a good amount during his 2 up at bats today. But that's one thing that I'm just itching to see is how is he able to go against major league pitching? All we really have is, some of these reports from, what the hitting coach says, the different videos that we see from Twitter, some of the comments from Alex Cora, but it's nothing that from the human eye as fans or as media members get to see if this guy's actually able to be as advertised in terms of not only his bat-to-bat skills, but mainly his power as well. And, one thing I've seen from a lot of the videos that we've seen of him up to bat, time and time again, we've heard fans in the background say, wow. That's from all the videos that I've seen. I've just heard people say, wow, right after the ball goes off of his bat. And I think that from what we've seen, what he was able to do in Japan last year, hitting 21 home runs, FanGraphs has projected him hitting 18 home runs. I don't know if I'm going to go that high. I was thinking, at least in my mind, 15 to 16. But, if the hitting coach thinks that he has a lot more juice than expected and upwards of, 70 grade raw power, we could potentially see over 20 home runs.
We could. And I mean, even with FanGraphs projection of 18 home runs, that's still pretty good. And I'm with you. I would say 15 home runs this season, but you just don't know how he's going to acclimate to MLB. But I love the scouting reports on him so early, and it's just so encouraging. And I think that's the main thing, is that there's always going to be some sort of concern, but to see so much optimism around him already is definitely something makes me more excited to see him than I was, a month ago. And I mean, if he hits 298 with 18 homers, I would definitely consider that a successful first MLB season. I don't want to have too high expectations for him because it is the first year he's played American baseball. So, but that's a nice projection. I would take that at a heartbeat. Hell, I take the 15 home runs in a heartbeat, because hopefully he's just going to get better after this first year and just get himself really comfortable with MLB.
And then that would also be like a pleasant surprise too, with the sort of power outage that we saw last year in the Red Sox lineup, and being able to get a guy like Yoshida, who's not only able to get on base consistently, but also able to add some power to that lineup. Something that, when the Red Sox first signed him, not a lot of fans really, I guess, expected that, or once they saw his name come across their notification page, thinking, oh, that's the power bat that we needed. Adam Duvall is that one guy that came to my mind from who the Red Sox did sign, but we're going to continue to be able to see that throughout his time. A little bit in the WBC will be a little bit of a glimpse of what we could see, but still not the full package of what we are going to be able to see in the regular season. But then another guy in Enmanuel Valdez, the Red Sox prospect that came over in the Christian Vasquez deal from the Astros. He's another guy who Alex Cora has raved about early on in spring training. And it's also been reported that Valdez is going to be moved around the infield throughout spring training, and he primarily played shortstop and second base during his time in Worcester. And from what I saw, played a lot better second base than I anticipated.
Yeah, I think he looks really good. I know that there was a lot of hype around him. Like there was a lot of good things said about him when he came over in that trade. But I love, again, much like Yoshida, I love the optimism around him so early. And of course, when you get prospects and somebody who maybe may or may not work out in a trade, you obviously want to see the best from them, especially when you give up someone like Triston Casas, who the team and the fans just absolutely loved. So I love that. Again, very optimistic around these players and the whole team. There's a ton of optimism within the organization around the team. So that's always a good sign. We've talked about how the chemistry already looks very, very good. So I'm really excited to see Valdez. Alex Cora said that he's taking the 26 best players into the regular season. So he does have, anyone has a chance to make this roster, and he's one of them. And I do think that if he continues to impress the way he has, if he does start the season in Worcester, it probably won't be too long until he gets called up, especially with a lot of the infield that he's been playing. He could really provide some depth for this Red Sox.
And when we had Cooper Boardman on a few months ago, Valdez was the main guy that he spoke about to watch out for. And, when Alex Cora was asked about him playing shortstop, he said, we'll see. And Valdez has the ability to also play outfield, but also a lot of the different infield positions. But that's one thing that I've heard from, talking to a lot of different people is that, yes, he does have a plus hit tool, but the defense is one thing that, he really needs to focus on in AAA. He does have the ability to have versatility, as I mentioned, but that's one thing that people have spoken about is they just need to find one place for him to play and allow him to continue to develop and get better at that one place rather than trying to get better at all these different positions. But obviously versatility always helps. And especially with what we've seen from the Red Sox, they like that a lot more rather than a player just only being able to play one position. But, Cora also mentioned too that, he really controls the strike zone very well. He said multiple times he can hit and do damage in the strike zone, and also mentioned the same thing for Abreu, the other player who came over in the Vasquez deal. So it's nice to at least see the two players that came over in the deal for a fan favorite like Vasquez, and especially how that all played out. It's nice to see that some positivity from Alex Cora is coming from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if these guys do pan out, not that fans will never forget Triston Casas, but it almost makes the trade a little easier where it's like, oh, okay, we got somebody who's going to be here for a while, who's going to contribute to the team and can be versatile. Triston Casas had his own versatility as well, but especially with so many questions in that middle infield and Story's injury, and we don't know if Story's coming back this year. He says he is. He sounds optimistic that he is, but we don't know for sure that he will play again or play at all in 2023. So having Valdez just kind of in the arsenal is definitely a good option, and something that I think will hopefully give him a lot of confidence as well if he can kind of fill in a role where it looked to be solidified for the next few seasons. And if he can come in and just help that middle infield defensively and offensively, it might be hard for Cora to be like, all right, so I guess we got to send him down to Worcester now. There might be some tough decisions to make, especially when it comes to the opening day roster.
Especially with Mondesi, they still don't know when he's going to come back, especially, Yu Chang. What are you going to really be able to get from him? Obviously, as a major league deal, but let's say Mondesi, continues to take some time to be able to come back. Chang ends up getting injured or Arroyo gets injured, and especially with Valdez now on the 40-man roster, that just makes it much, much easier for him to be able to be slid into second base or shortstop if the Red Sox do get some early injuries. So very curious to see how that all ultimately plays out. But I'd love to see sort of, some optimism towards some different players like Valdez or Abreu and also Yoshida as well. It continues to bring confidence and excitement to, people like us and also to the overall fan base. But before we go into our third and final segment, I just want to take a second to talk to you about FanDuel. So the midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from money line to point scores and threes drained. Also, we've talked about it multiple times. The Bruins are on a run right now. So are the
Sure
Celtics.
are.
So you can go over and bet on them over on FanDuel. And they also allow you to get a even bigger payout with same game parlay. So if you wanted to do, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, 50 points, 40 points or whatever. And then you can also do David Krejci scores a goal, Bruins money line. You're able to do all that different stuff over on FanDuel. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So I wanted to end this episode with a little bit of a mental health minute, because one thing that some of my friends and I have been speaking about is especially if there's times where you want something so bad in your life and it's not coming to you as quickly as you would like it to, or whether you're on a workout journey and you're not getting the results as quickly as you want to, or you are applying for tons of jobs and it's not materializing as quickly as you would like it to. One thing that I try to keep in my mind is, who said it was going to be easy? That's the one thing that we always think is, which is nice to have that confidence. It's nice to have that motivation. But at the same time, when you wait a little bit longer and when some things are a little bit tougher, it's much more of gratification when you're able to actually achieve that thing or get that thing that you're looking towards. And so that's one thing that I try and remind myself, and I wanted to speak about on here today, is don't get in your head and don't try and speed things up faster than the universe or life ultimately puts them into your life. Because in my mind, everything happens for a reason, and so that certain thing that you're striving for is going to happen when it's supposed to.
That's the thing, is it's easy, for me to sit here and say everyone's journey is different. You have to trust the path that you're on. But I had to wait a very, very long time to get to where I was. And I would have been easier to give up at times. And it was frustrating seeing other people not succeed, but get opportunities that I was like, oh, I was really hoping for that. And or even not even in this field, but my other friends getting these awesome jobs, and I'm like, I don't know what to do because I just can't seem to get it. And I realized that we're human. We want instant results, and we want that instant satisfaction, whether that is, like you mentioned, like your fitness journey and your health journey. It takes so much time and dedication, and it's the same with your personal life, your job search. It just takes a lot of time, and I have this picture somewhere that my mom got me a long time ago. It says, be patient and trust your journey. And it was when I was going through a hard time of trying to just get my feet on the ground here. And that's a big quote that I would see every single day, where I'm like, you just have to trust the path that you're on. And if you want to change the direction, that's on you too. You are in control. And the most important thing is just to not give up through it, because if you truly want this, it is disheartening as it can get sometimes, no matter what it is, just keep working toward it, because that time is going to pass anyway, whether you're working toward it or not.
Right. And, there's a lot of times where people say, why is this happening to me? And I would just flip that and say, why is this happening for me? Because, a
Right.
lot of the lessons that you gain from those challenges, from that time where it's uncertain or there's unknown, a lot of those lessons you're able to apply in the future. And then you look back on that challenging time and you're like, okay, that makes sense. That's why I ended up going through that. And so I think being able to, like you said, just trust the path, trust the process, and continuously put positive affirmations or positive sayings into your mind and not allow those negative thoughts to creep in, which it's super easy to, but it's just as easy to flip it in a positive way or so, kind of like I just did, of why is this happening to me rather than why is this happening for me.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, you have to, and it's easy to get caught in that negative mindset of the why me, why is this happening to me? But you can, and it's difficult. It's not easy to just turn it around into a positive. But if you do kind of sit there and say, this obviously is happening for me, what can I gain from this being a positive, instead of, just hearing the same old cliches, like everything happens for a reason, or you're going to get what's yours in time. It's like, well, I don't want to keep waiting. I know that it can get really, really hard and difficult, but when you look at it from a more positive light, it shifts your mindset to a much better place where you try not to get so down on yourself for the situation that you're in. And when you realize that things happen for you, you're like, okay, this obviously is keeping me from something that I was going to be unhappy with down the road. And just because you're struggling doesn't mean it's forever. You can still accomplish anything you set your mind to.
Couldn't agree more. And we continuously thank you for tuning into the Locked On Red Sox podcast and allowing us to speak about, our favorite team, and, allowing us to be able to, live out our dreams of being able to talk about sports and, have people listen and have people engage and everything like that. And it's been a lot of fun leading up to this season. Not only tuning into the different things that are happening in terms of spring training, getting excited, and even with sort of the dim spring off season that has been, I don't know why I'm more excited I think than I was last year going into the season, just itching for Red Sox baseball back, and hoping that this team is able to really defy all the odds that are put against them. But we're going to continue to keep you updated on this podcast 5 days a week, so make sure to subscribe on YouTube or whatever audio platform that you listen to so you get notified when episodes are posted. We thank you so much for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure to follow Locked On Red Sox on Twitter. It's LO_Red Sox. You can also follow myself. It's at Jake Iggy. And also Lauren. It's La. 3 laws, Lauren with 4 R's. But we hope that everybody has a great weekend, and we'll end it how we always end it. Keep the faith, and let's go Sox. Peace.